Vallianatos. Well, first, thanks to Josh for running this great event. I look forward to hearing everyone's presentation and being able to, hopefully collaborate with the filmmaker to shed some light on LA. And obviously, experiencing the city is both it's a visual thing. I'm a policy person, so I can rant about wonky stuff, but I can't draw people in with images. So to be able to partner up and do that. And I'm going to talk about the theme of my talk today is a forbidden city, and it's really a history of how Los Angeles banned some of its best buildings, how we banned some of the most popular and best regarded housing types in the city. Basically, the thesis is that a lot of the types of housing that people sort of associate with Los Angeles, they love to live in, they love to visit, they love to protect, we systematically ban them over time by changes in the rules we have about building housing, so the zoning code, building code, etc. And I think this is an interesting history, both because it helps explain why the city looks like it does, and also because it kind of sheds some light on our current housing crisis and why we can't build enough housing or have enough affordable housing for the city to be able to stay a diverse, thriving place. And so for a long time, I wanted to showcase this issue, try to figure out what happened to some of these past building types. I was able to do a walk earlier this summer with the pedestrian group LA Walks. We walked through East Hollywood and Silver Lake and Los Feliz, and we were able to look at buildings and kind of basically the process is you look at a building. I've already looked up what the age of the building is, and I know when the rules changed, and you can basically say this building's like this because of this rule, and then they changed it, and et cetera, et cetera. So I'll explain that as I go through this briefly. So this is a bungalow court. It's a way to get more people on a traditional size lot, a 50 by 100 lot. You now have 6 or 8 or whatever small houses with a shared yard rather than a single family house. This is common starting in the 1910s in Los Angeles. This is the Gamble House in Pasadena, one of the best pieces of architecture in the country. But the reason I include it is one of the brothers who designed it, Charles Green, as early as 1915 was complaining about bungalow courts, saying that they were speculative, they were standardized, they were too dense. So what I'm trying to say is that people have been complaining about other people's homes in Los Angeles for 100 years, right? But back in 1915 and 1920s in particular, the rules allowed people to build housing. And so especially the zoning we had in the 1920s, when the city was really kind of zoned for the first time, 60% of the city was this B zone that allowed any type of residence. You couldn't do a business there, but you could do a single-family house, you could do a bungalow court, you could do a courtyard apartment, a 2-story apartment, whatever you wanted to do. And so you ended up with kind of a diverse low-rise city. So if you think of any neighborhood in LA that kind of was built, part of it was built before World War II, you have this mix. This is like four small structures on a lot. This is a 2-story brick apartment building. This is a single-family house. This is a bungalow court with the entranceway through here, and like a 2-story building in the back and single-story units up front. And you also had a massive amount of housing built. So in the 1920s, 1923, the most houses ever built in the city of LA were built in 1923, is over 40,000. If we had built the same number in the past decade as in the 1920s, we'd built like 800,000 compared to the population. We'd be living cheap in LA. All right. 1934 is really the first kind of crackdown on that kind of diverse low-rise city. We had minimum parking requirements for the first time for multifamily buildings, one parking space on your site per unit. And also you had a yard ordinance that required side yards and front setbacks. And this essentially banned many of those types of courts and courtyard apartments that were previously popular because you didn't have space on the lot to have like those bungalow courts in the middle yard and also have parking. And so you'd have a choice. You'd have to either eliminate some of the units or I don't know, So you basically ended up killing a lot of these buildings. Now you could still have things like fourplexes. In most places, you'd have all these. This is from a USC professor who looked at. This is from South LA. You'd have a side driveway because you have to meet the side yard setbacks, and in the back you'd have like 4 carports, right? And then you have a fourplex. You could still have nice small apartments that allow you to have, elegant density in the city, even with these new parking requirements and yard rules. after the population boom in World War II, developers started to have to push the envelope of how to get more people on a lot again, because just the population was exploding. We had a housing crisis right after World War II, and it's like, how do you get more people on a standard 50 by 100 lot? And so dingbats came. This is a famous one because it's named crappy, right? Whatever. But they're actually, they're also considered in some ways to be sort of, nice democratic architecture because they allowed a lot of people to move to the city and then just, find their place in the great metropolis. And they packed more people on by essentially doing this the parking under the building in the front originally. But over time, in the early and mid-60s, the city increased the parking requirements for apartment buildings. It was based on the number of rooms in the building, each unit. And that killed dingbats by 1965. So again, the trend of we had a popular housing type, let's go and regulate it out of existence. And so they were gone. And so what it meant, this is kind of faint here, but what it meant is after 1965, to build apartments in Los Angeles, you really had to assemble lots, like buy 2 or 3 lots, and then do parking underneath it, sort of partly subterranean or in the middle of it. And that led to, nothing wrong with this apartment building, but it led to sort of big buildings, right? And as a result, people said, we don't want big buildings in our neighborhoods close to our single-family houses, so we need to downzone the city. And so the community plans that were adopted in the 70s, 80s, and 90s almost all, they reduced the number of units you could do on each piece of land. You can't really see this map, but when we went on the walk, we walked by Sunset Junction and Silver Lake. It was all R4 zoning and Heights District 2, so you could build medium-sized apartment buildings, every single lot around Sunset Junction. Today, it's all R1 or RD 1.5, which means you can only build 3 units on a 5,000 square foot lot. That's just 6 parking spaces. So essentially, we got rid of the elegant, small, low-rise buildings. And then, ironically, that required people to assemble lots and build big apartment buildings, and then people didn't like those, and so they got rid of those, and we have a housing shortage. So the lessons that I draw from this is we need another housing boom like we had in the 20s. We'll obviously won't be, going out and turning bean fields into homes anymore. With the infill, we want to re-legalize the diverse housing types we used to see in old neighborhoods. You want to reduce or end parking requirements, which, destroyed many of these, banned many of these buildings, and my final kind of theme is how do we want to preserve the great buildings of the past of LA, but how do you preserve the kind of living city, preserve the future, the ability of people to shape a place that they feel good in Los Angeles. So, thank you.